Hey yo, what up party people? What up party people? It's your boy Neek here, me and the movies here at the AMC Ontario Dine-In Theaters, here to catch us a flick. Oh yeah, here we go y'all. Sicario is what we're checking out. Unfortunately, this large 30 theaters cinema, AMC Ontario, don't got the poster. I've been seeing it everywhere, but for some reason on the day of its release, poster is not to be found. But that's all right though. Sicario 2, Day of the Soldado. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. May have not rolled my tongue enough, but let's get in there and check out Josh Brolin, Benicio del Toro return as the hitman from Mexico, the lawyer turned hitman, and Josh Brolin, the American doer of criminal things legally. Let's get in there. Let's get in there.
You write songs or anything?
And here we go. Sicario, Day of the Soldado gets like that. I can't say it was just as good as the first one. Probably slightly less, only because of this. Just like your journey over to across the border and to what you think is greener pastures, it's just more a different kind of stress and turmoil that you're gonna have to deal with, and that's what this movie was like. It didn't have the stylization as the first one. It was just kind of like scenes stacked upon each other, and then you kind of got the full circle of what was going on. But yeah, it just wasn't as impactful as the first one, but it was still good. Further thoughts.
All right, here we go, y'all. Sicario, take out the spectacles. Sicario, Day of the Soldado was, I have to say, it wasn't as good as the first because of the stylization of my man Denis Villeneuve, his direction with Roger Deakins' cinematography, and again, in the way the story went. It just kind of stacked scenes upon each other, and just stacked and stacked as the story went on. And what kind of got under my skin a bit is that from the trailer it sold you a story about the cartels pretty much ushering the terrorist entrance into the country and everything like that. And in the beginning of the movie, it starts off really interesting on that theme. And like, man, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of promise, but it kind of drops the ball when it just really focuses more so on Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin's kind of fractured relationship, kind of forced fractured relationship as the trailer shows, with having to deal with the daughter of a cartel chief, which is Isabel Mona's character. And it's crazy. This is the second movie where Isabel Mona's real name has been used as her name and as her character. This and Transformers, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Sicario, Day of the Soldado, I would have to give like one of those because yeah, they kind of dropped the ball with the more interesting story I think they could have went with, and it kind of set up for an unnecessary third entry, possibly I would say, and yeah, so. But I'll still be interested in seeing it. It's just not necessary. So if you're gonna do that, you should have made this a TV series. Yeah, it would have been a 3-season TV series that would have been probably a little bit better than just putting it in a film. You would have had time to stretch out the whole terrorist angle if this was a TV series. So yeah, as far as the movie goes, it just wasn't as good as the first. I'm just sorry I had to compare it to the first.
Yeah, so another thing about Sicario, Day of the Soldado, is that even though it deviates from the promise of the trailer, or maybe it doesn't even, it just doesn't go into the direction that I thought that it would, dealing with the cartels escorting the terrorists across the border to do their dastardly deeds. I mean, even there's a line of dialogue. It's like, look, we checked out the terrorists. They're U.S. citizens. So the whole threat and the whole purpose of the U.S. government broadening their range of combating the cartels because of their involvement with the terrorists. They kind of even dropped that because they realized, hey, we're dealing with U.S. citizens here, not some kind of foreign threat. And so it really kind of goes back to Benicio del Toro's character and dealing with Isabel Moner as the cartel boss's daughter. There was this really beautiful scene when they both come across. They had to take a little detour to cross the border, and they were on foot together, Benicio del Toro and Isabel Moner, and they come across this Mexican farmer who was deaf. And that was just a beautiful seeing how Benicio was able to communicate with him because it was revealed that his daughter was also deaf when she was alive, and that's how he knew Spanish Sign Language. So that was a really, really, really nice scene in this movie, and just kind of one of the moments that made you really like the movie more than you really should. A bit of disappointment. Here's the problem with Sicario, Day of the Soldado, is that you don't identify really with any one character like you did in the original Sicario. Even though you may not agree with Emily Blunt's motivations, her character's motivations, you still identify with her and her journey and what she was going through, being in the middle of these two forces, the U.S. government and also this rogue Mexican Sicario, which was Benicio del Toro. In this movie, you don't really identify too much with Isabel Moner, the daughter of the cartel boss, because she's kind of a little brat herself. And as far as Benicio, I guess you do kind of identify with him, but for some reason, it's just weird just following him, even though it's called Sicario and he is the hitman. It just wasn't as satisfying. I guess it just wasn't drawn out as good as the first one. It was just something disappointing about this movie that didn't make it as satisfying as it should. And maybe I'm just not putting my finger on it enough, but you'll get the feeling when you walk out the theater. Do you need to see this in theater? No, like I said, this would have been, with this inclusion, with this installment, it makes you think that this would have been better as a series, a television series, than a series of films. They should have just left the first one as it is. Not to say that it's any kind of masterpiece or anything like that, but it was just enough stylization from the director that made it a nice viewing, as far as just being a single film without a franchise. But it is what it is. It's a second film. They try to go for a third, so there you go. Sicario, Day of Soldado.
Your boy Nick here, me in the movies. We had to make a little detour to the AMC Victoria Gardens 12 because they had the poster. Actually, they got two posters out here. Shame on you, AMC Dine-In Theaters, all the little silly posters advertising the food and stuff, and you ain't got a poster for the movie you're advertising that people come in and see so that they can eat the food. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, yeah, we'll catch y'all next time, next flick.